Hello everyone. So welcome to the first lecture of this course. And as you can see from the title of the lecture, it is a general introduction. And by general introduction, I really mean a general introduction because it does not really focus on the course to be specific, but more on many other things in the periphery, and how those things will naturally and in a in a well directed manner they will lead you to the course. However, we want to go through this journey, and I have taken my previous year batch students also through this journey. If you have had any feedback from them, you would know. And I want to make you also go through this journey because there might be some things which could be picked up by some of the students, and that will prepare them in a better manner in their life. They might get some insights regarding how this regarding their own life, and get a perspective of how things actually work around us, and how actually we work ourselves. So these are the different perspectives and different insights that might go across to some of the students. I hope they reach out to all of you, because these things, these insights is for me, for my own thinking, these are beneficial for every one of us to lead our lives in a better way. So let us just dive into this thing. And how we do it, we dive into the course with this question: why we are here. So this is a question which I generally pose to my students at the very first class. So I let them think about it a bit. So why you are seated here in the classroom? So right now it is not a classroom mode, but why you have opened up this video and trying to listen to me, and and get whatever is and see this lecture video. Why you are doing this? So why you are in the classroom? So there is some answers regarding that you are supposed to be in the classroom at that particular time and place, because there is a routine. But now it is not routine bound, but still you are here. And even if there is a routine, you are there in the class not because you are bound to be in the class, but because there is some other purpose, other objective behind you being present in the class. What is that purpose and what is that objective? You also know that, but perhaps it is better to point it out to you once, and you can reflect back on it and have an understanding that yes, this is why I am here. So why you are here? So let us see. So this is why you are here, because you want to get some understanding about the topic, about the course that we have floated here, which is digital electronics and circuits. You want to know what these things are, and how you can how it can help you in increasing your technical knowledge and expertise, being an electrical engineer. However, this is a greater purpose perhaps, that is getting the knowledge and getting an expertise developed around the subject. However, there is also a lesser purpose, which is to pass the exams and complete the assignments to gain the marks and all. So these are the dual purposes with which we come to the course, we attend the course. And uh, I guess most of us are having an eye to the lower purpose. However, we must also keep an eye to the higher purpose, which is to gain the knowledge. So how we can do this, how we can really do this? So what, while in the class, while being in the class, what we get from the class is these two things. One is the blackboard teaching. So the teacher tries to give you some formula, some methods, some understanding of some theory, all these things. While in the right hand side you can see there are many notes which are also sent across to you, or you make them from the teachings and from the whatever is going on in the class. So these notes are, this picture is taken from the internet, so these are not really technical notes, but you get the idea. So this is what happens in the class, and why you are in the class is because you want to take these materials from the class, and by virtue of this you want to satisfy some objectives. One of the objective is obviously all of you are having it in the mind, which is to pass the course. However, the other objective is to gain a knowledge, gain a solid knowledge base on this course, and perhaps take you to the level of being an expert in this particular subject. So this is how it is happening actually. So as you can see in this picture, so these things, which are outside this person are like these notes and this blackboard teachings which are there, which are all outside this person. These are all outside this person. However, in order to gain the levels of expertise, these things should go inside the person. The person must be able to imbibe this information. So these are information, basically these are information. The person must be able to imbibe this information and gain knowledge from it. So information and knowledge is different. Information is everywhere. We are seeing so many things around us. We are being so we are interacting with so many things. So all this is information coming to us. However, if we are not able to interpret this information in a better way, in a proper way, so that does not give us any knowledge. So a very lame example might be like this, that the eyes are actually getting information of light. However, you are interpreting different objects and interpreting different objects and are able to distinguish them in a very nice manner. So that is some knowledge, and so that is some knowledge that is doing this from inside you. So though this happens quite automatically, however, if you suppose that you are suppose a condition that you are unable to decipher these objects as being separate, and you are unable to decipher the objects as what is that object actually, so that would lead to a lot of confusion in you. So because so much of information is coming inside you in the form of light, however it is not able to give you anything fruitful, give you anything give you any meaning to what to do with that information. Since you already have this system inside you, your brain works in that manner to distinguish these objects as very separate things, and you know how to work with them. So they give some meaning to this information. So this imparting this meaning to that information actually uh, actually uh, actually transcends the information to knowledge, and then you can do something about it. So this knowledge helps us, not the information. So so with this I would like to go ahead. So what is how this information becomes knowledge? So that is what we want to look into actually. So you see that, okay, I will take you to a drawing which I do here. So this is what I will show you is a modeling of how we gather information and how it helps us how it helps us grow ourselves. So there is a thing. Sorry. So again, I'll go here. So what you see here, you see a white screen. Imagine this as knowledge. This white screen is the entirety of this universe, and the entirety of this universe is knowledge. Everywhere you look around, everywhere you interact, there is something to know, there is something to gain knowledge from. So everywhere there is information around you. However, all that information has not been converted, or has not led to knowledge about something, about that particular thing. So there is a lot of information around you. So you are seeing so many things, you are hearing so many things. However, we don't really know about all of these things. So now we are in an age where we know more than previous eras, than in the history of the civilization, but still there are many things about which we don't have any knowledge of. However, as science progresses, as inquiry progresses, I would not only stress on the word science, because science also has its limitations because of how it works. However, the entire inquiry system, the system of inquiry, of which science is one very big part of, the system of inquiry, as long as it is there, we are trying to gather knowledge from the information that is being presented, like this white screen. So how does this happen? Let us suppose this, that there are these circles I am drawing. So these are some pockets of information. So suppose that this is the information of how trees grow. This particular place is the information of how trees actually grow from seeds to plants, and in that manner. Okay, and this particular place is the information of how how robots can work. Okay, so there are human and robots. So robots can, how these robots work. So these are the two very separate points, or two very separate sets of information. They might not have anything to do with each other. However, they are all part of this big knowledge space. All part of this big knowledge space. So let us suppose that these are you. So these are all of us, these blue circles. So we are also having some knowledge within us. So please understand this. That's why you are also part of the knowledge universe. So you are also carrying some knowledge within you, not just the knowledge that your brain knows or you feel that you know, but there is also much knowledge which is in you, in your own body, how your blood cells are working, how your heart is pumping, how your stomach is digesting. There is so much knowledge which you are carrying with you. So all these are things to know. One can have an interest and a positive interest in all these things. You may not have. You may not have interest in how your stomach is digesting or how your blood is flowing, but some of the other people may have interest in them, and that also forms a discipline of knowledge. However, what I want to stress is that, so our points in this knowledge universe, our starting points in this knowledge universe, suppose we are at these particular positions. These positions are based on the fact, on the total knowledge that we are having at present about whatever we know, about all the things that we have come across, all the things that we know. So we are at this particular position. So from this position, suppose we want to this this thing, which is the tree, how the trees grow. Suppose, so as an example, we want to know how this tree grows. So we have to traverse from this place to this place and establish a link here. So all of us are trying to establish a link in some way and go to this place. However, all our trajectories will be different. Why? Because our initial positions are different. So of course the trajectory will be a bit different. So during this traversing from one point to another, you are also going over the field of knowledge. So all this knowledge might also get into you. This is how it happens actually. If you think about it, this is how it happens. So you start from somewhere, you want to reach somewhere. However, in order to reach that place, you also go through a lot of different knowledge, a lot of different information which imparts some knowledge into you. So as here also, as you will see in this course also, before we can so all these are like level wise knowledge. So before we can reach the final level, we need to pass through all the levels before that. Otherwise we will not be able to grasp the knowledge which will be given across to you in the final chapters or final topics of this course. So this is how it happens. However, the point that I want to make is this: since our starting positions are different, so all of us are starting from different places, and suppose that I am the teacher who is trying to teach you how plants grow, or maybe you can suppose this is the digital electronics set of knowledge. So I am very close to this set. I am very close. So suppose I mark myself with green. So I am sitting very close and having a lot of intersection also with this knowledge. So I am here. So I don't claim that I know all the things, but I have a fairly large idea of this topic. So my approach to this, so for me, this thing is already much of it is within my knowledge system. However, you are not knowing anything of this digital electronics. So there is a path that you have to take, and what is my role in taking you from this point to this point is to carry you from here to here through a path which suits you the most. So what path would suit you the most? If I take you through the knowledge points which are actually known to you from before. Suppose you know something here at this point, you know something here at this point, you know something here at this point. Okay, so if I show you the path, if I show everyone the path that you should come from here to here. So this might be a bit far away, but not so much far away. Then from here to here you should go. From here to here you should go. From here to here you should go. And for all the others, I will first try to take you here, and then you follow the rest of the path. From here you go here, and then you follow the rest of the path. You go here, follow the rest of the path. You also go here and follow the rest of the path. So then things might become easier for you to come and approach this knowledge. So this is the idea with which I try to work in my class. So this is the philosophy with which I work. So I try to take you through intermediate steps of knowledge which will lead you to the actual knowledge which is the objective, which is the purpose of having this course in your curriculum. So you would gain the knowledge of this subject. So let us go back now. Yeah. So in order that you can step from one knowledge point to another knowledge point, so all those knowledge points have to come inside you, have to be grasped by you. So some of these knowledge points which I have marked are already known, and there is a path that you have to take to go from one point to another. So how you cross one knowledge point to another knowledge point, there is a leap that you have to take. So that leap would only come that leap would only come from within you. That leap no one can provide from outside. That leap that you have to take from one knowledge point to another, that has to always come from within you. That no one can give you, no one can push you off the ledge. Actually, you have to take the jump. So you have to take the jump, and from one place to another you have to go. However, I can only show you that this jump is not a very difficult jump. You can this is something where you are, and this is somewhere you want to go. So this jump can be easily taken. And to take this jump, you have to actually have a spark inside you, which you have to have a spark inside you which actually like pushes you towards taking this jump. So this spark you must have inside you. So what is this spark I am talking about? So this is a spark of inquiry. This is a spark of wanting to know a new thing, wanting to know something new. So this is a spark which naturally is there within each one of us, maybe in a degree lesser or greater in someone or the other. However, this spark to understand things, understand something new, is present in all of us. That is how our civilization has actually progressed, because we wanted to know more things, we wanted to know new things, and we wanted to use those new things. So for using them, we have to have some more knowledge about this, some expertise about those things. So this spark is always present within us. So we have to work with that spark. So this is one intention also from my side, to get that spark within you, so to enliven that spark within you and drive you towards the next knowledge point, to inspire you in taking that next step. So it is not just presenting this information, it is not just presenting the information to you and how you imbibe it is in your own hands. So a lot of it depends upon you actually, but I will also try to push that spark within you. So you make your brain work, make your brain active into thinking and understanding things from a new perspective and having some insight about these things. So these are the things which actually encourage and inspire us to go forward and try to understand the things in a new way and understand new things. So that spark is what I want to ignite within you. So you see, even this person, Socrates, if you know him, I suppose all of us has read about him in the history books. So he is a great ancient Greek teacher, and he has said that what is education? Education is the kindling of a flame and not the filling of a vessel. That is what I am trying to tell you, that I don't want to only provide you with the information. Of course, I will provide you with the information, but it is not the filling of a vessel, but it is the kindling of a flame. So, unless that spark is there from within you, unless that interest is there from within you, that information will only remain information. It will not become knowledge, it will not become education. So, since we are talking about Socrates, just a brief on who Socrates is. So, he is regarded as the best teacher of all times, and he was one of the founders of Western philosophy. And you might have heard these names, Plato and Aristotle. They are among his students. What? So these are some facts, but we want to understand what he represented, what idea he represented. So ideas are more important than the persons and then the facts, what happened, with whom happened. These things are not important, but the idea behind those things are important. So what was his idea? His idea, he believed in critical re-evaluation of past teachings to gain knowledge. This idea is still applicable or is still relevant, and this will be relevant for all ages to come. We as scientists and we as people who are pursuing science and people who are pursuing the mode of inquiry in order to understand knowledge, we all believe in critical re-evaluation of past teachings. So whatever had happened before have to again be re-evaluated, whether that knowledge system is still working, whether that knowledge system is still giving us the same benefit or not, whether that knowledge system is complete. So if we can improve it. So these are the things that one has to question. One has to always keep a questioning attitude towards whatever past information, past teachings and past knowledge system is available to us. We must always have a questioning attitude to them. Only after critical re-evaluation, if we find them to still hold good, we should accept them and then use them in our lives. So he based his teachings in dialectic discourses. Dialectic discourses are something useful in philosophy. So he was a philosopher basically. So dialectic discourses are like there is an opinion, like an axiom, so, and one has to defend that axiom and defend that opinion by uh, putting up some logic based on that opinion. So someone else can put up a counter agreement and show that through some other logic they can show that that particular opinion by the first person is invalid. So then that opinion becomes invalid and a new opinion would come across. So in this is the way of how dialectic discourses happen, but you don't need to go so much deep into it if you are not so interested in philosophy. So this is what Socrates has had told, and his one very well-known statement is this: wisdom begins in wonder. So as you might have understood uh, from whatever I am trying to put across to you till now, is that I am not only trying to make you uh, I am not only trying to give information to you, but help you gain knowledge from that information. So that knowledge, gaining knowledge, is basically being wiser in the subject. So you become wise by gaining some insight, by gaining a perspective, by gaining knowledge, you become wiser. So this wisdom begins in wonder. So unless you have the wonder, unless you have that spark within you to inquire, to what is wonder? Wonder is you see something and you have a question: how does this happen? So that is wonder. How this thing is happening? What exactly is this? So these questions come from within you. So maybe those questions are not framed properly. However, this if you have a if your nature, if your attitude is like that, so this wonder, the feeling of wonder, will come from within you, and only by pursuing this wonder you can gain some wisdom. That is what Socrates has had told us. That is what Socrates' idea was. And haven't we wondered? We have always wondered. We have wandered from our very birth. So, as a child, if you just think back when you were a child, think about your own self when you were a child. You were wondering at everything, each and everything which you saw around you. The uh, very nice example is that, and we still have this wonder when we see a aeroplane flying in the sky. So we still look up and see the aeroplane flying in the sky, and as a child you can understand. Now we know how it flies. We have all the technical details perhaps, and we have fairly nice understanding of how it does, how it flies. But as a child, he has no idea, and it is wondrous for him to see something flying across the sky, to see a kite flying across the sky. And the amount of wonder that the kite flying in the sky brings is the same as the aeroplane flying in the sky brings. The same wonder is there. Similarly, so there is, yeah, we wonder at a huge tree standing in a forest, as well as we wonder at a huge tall building. So these are some wondrous things which we see around us. What are these? Inside of an atom and the expanse of an universe. These are also something to wonder about. From every small, the tiniest thing to the largest possible thing which is present, all these are filled with wonder. All these are filled with wonder. Only you have to have that attitude to look at these things in wonder. If you just see these things, okay, this is there, what to dwell upon it, why to dwell upon it, then that will not bring you wonder, that will not also bring any wisdom to you about that subject, about that particular thing. So only people who has wondered what is there really inside an atom, what is there really in this whole universe, how this universe looks, how this universe is shaped, how this universe, or why this universe behaves the way it behaves, and how it exactly actually behaves. So these questions have come up to people and they have pursued those questions. Only by pursuing those questions, we pursuing that wonder, wisdom has been, so one has gathered wisdom. So only by pursuing that wonder, that wonder within one. So they are wondering about something, suppose this atom or the universe, and they have pursued that wonder with questions, with inquiry, and they have gathered some knowledge about those things. And now those knowledge is available to all of us to, uh, and those knowledge actually now form this advancement of our own civilization. So wonder has led to wisdom, and this wisdom is what is knowledge discovery, technological progress, and advancement of civilization. So only this wisdom has led us to this point where we can use this great technological marvel of I am somewhere and delivering this lecture and you are somewhere listening to this lecture. So this was not possible even a few decades ago. So only some people has wondered whether this is possible, whether this sort of thing can be achieved. They have wandered into the behavior of electrons, which has into atoms, which has led to the discovery of electrons, which has led to the discovery of how materials work, and that has given rise to computers, and all these things have come into progress one after another, one after another. This technological progress has happened because some people, some groups of people have wondered what would happen if, so they have wondered of exactly how things behave and how they can use those things to for some betterment of the civilization, for some advancement of the civilization, to bring into new technological inventions, innovations, which will be helpful for the mankind. So this wonder has worked this behind this knowledge discovery, technological progress, and in advancement of civilization. And as a process, they have made those people wise. First thing that is that they have made those people wise, and those people who are dealing with this knowledge discovery, technological progress, and advancement of civilizations, they are working into this. They are working with a mode of inquiry to understand things better. They are also becoming wise. So this process leads to wisdom. That is what the great Greek philosopher and teacher Socrates had remarked so many years before. So if you had noted down the date of his birth, it was around 500 BC or so. So many years ago, they have noted down. He has noted down this. He had observed this, that wonder leads to wisdom, and this wisdom actually leads to the progress of humankind and our civilization. So this is one distinguishing attribute of humanity, of us as humans. I don't know if animals ever wonder, or even if they wonder, they cannot pursue that wonder and it does not lead to them being wise. But this is something that we as human beings have this attribute within us. So let us try to use it, being a distinguishing feature of humans. Let us try to bring that attribute or express that attribute within us. So only by expressing that attribute within us, we would feel ourselves also as more human than ever. So this is a distinguishing trait of being human. So if you can express that trait within you, then you will also eventually feel more human than before. So with all this talk about knowledge and inquiry and wisdom, how we should we should stress on the fact that we should gather knowledge and not information. We should become wise through wonder, through developing the attitude of wondering at things and bringing the spark from within. So all this talk which just happened, so this now leads us to one question. So I understand, okay, so these are the things, but what to do? So what exactly we need to do so that we can go through this journey of wonder to wisdom? We can go through this journey of information to knowledge. What exactly we are supposed to do? I hope you already understand that this is not what we're supposed to do, which is just to bury our heads in books, in information, and just drown in the information. This is not what we are supposed to do. What we are supposed to do is to bring in the spark from within. So only when the brain is illuminated, only when our inside is illuminated, we have the spark from inside, all these notes and all these things outside, which is just information, will automatically come within us as knowledge. This is how every great philosopher or every great teacher has understood how the process how the process of uh, how a man goes, how a person goes into the process of being knowledgeable. It is not by gathering information around that person, but it is by developing them from inside, developing them from inside, changing them from inside. That helps them to imbibe that information and convert or transform that information to knowledge, which further helps them to build themselves up. So this spark, so this is the so this thing is what we will try to achieve in this course. So lighting up your brain. So how you will light up your brain? So the brain remains dull if you don't make it do anything. So we have to give it some tasks in order that it becomes active, and active in an intelligent way, in a intellectual way, not just repeating some mundane task. That doesn't make the brain active, that doesn't light up the brain. The brain lights up facing some intellectual challenges, facing some intelligent challenges, like taking the jump from one knowledge point to another. To take that jump, the brain lights up because it sees it as a challenge. However, it knows that it is not a challenge so hard that it cannot take. So there is the spark. Then the spark happens from within. So that spark tries to overcome the present challenge of jumping from one point to another, and that challenge can be taken up by this brain. So we want to help the brain light up and accept that challenge. And this, whatever I am telling you, if it is a bit overwhelming for you, then I want to put some perspective, which is a very new perspective which has come across in our nation right now. So which is the national education policy. I hope you all have been aware of this. And the national education policy, in principle, what it is doing, it is trying to shift our perspective or shift our focus from studying to learning, and from only having information, gathering information, to knowledge. This is a very positive, uh, what should I say? It is a positive approach towards bringing in this a new educational reform in the country. So, if this is executed well, perhaps there will be a lot of changes also. However, in principle, what it is doing, it is trying to change our mode, change our attitude from just studying something to learning something. Because as you know, the studying is a very limited sort of a idea. You study something today, and a few years down the line, that particular technology or that particular topic has already been obsolete. So there is something new to understand. There's always some development that is happening, especially in the technological field. The development is rapid, very rapid. So it is not just studying whatever set of topics you are given in a particular subject. Suppose the subject that I am teaching, digital electronics, whatever I am teaching, the subject is not limited to that. The subject has evolved, the subject has progressed. So only limiting yourself to that will give you some idea, of course, of that subject, but it will not make you knowledgeable about everything in the subject. If you want to pursue a career in digital electronics, you have to further continue learning and learning. So this attitude of learning has to be developed within you, and this is the same thing as having the quality or having the talent, the skill, the attribute of converting and transforming information to knowledge. This is some quality that some of us possesses in a stronger way and some of us possesses in a lesser way, but we all have to work on this quality of transforming information into knowledge. This quality we have to focus on, not and if we focus on this quality, then automatically if we can improve this quality, if we can enhance this quality, then automatically whatever comes to you as information, you will be able to transform that into knowledge, and that will lead you to learning that new thing. And in this way we can transform, we can go from wonder to wisdom. Wonder is something we do on information. We are wondering, a kite is flying, that is information. An aeroplane is flying, that is information. We wonder on that information. Wonder is the bridge between information to knowledge. We wonder means we are asking some questions within us. We are pursuing that question, we are becoming wiser and wiser and wiser, and we are gaining some knowledge about that thing. So this is how it happens. So the national education policy in principle agrees with what the great philosopher Socrates had told 2500 years before. And why just Socrates? There had been so many people, there had been so many great men and men of learning and in our own country as well, long before. So they have also stressed on many different things, many different ideas on how to learn and how to study. All these things are there. So this leads us to the same question that we have started with, and what I will show now is to put this question in a different context. Why we are here? If we put it in different context of this, not just going out from the class and going out from the present present place and time, wherever you are, and asking why we are here from the perspective of the earth being in the universe and you being in the earth as a very small entity in the whole universe. Why we are here? This is a very big question. I don't know if any one of you have had this question in mind ever, but if you have this question in your mind, you would know that there is no immediate answer. There is no immediate answer to why we are present in this so big universe. So you see the same question, but my intention here is not to answer this question why we are in this universe. That will take up a lot of different discussions and all. So my intention here is to point you to the fact that the same question, when asked from a different perspective, leads you to different directions of knowledge. So from the context here now changed from the small classroom or from your small screens to the entire universe. You are why? So the first question we begin with, why we are sitting in front of this screen and watching this lecture. So why we are here? So that was a question, but the context was the laptop screen and this lecture. However, if you change the context a bit, you change the context with the same question, now it will lead you to a very different direction of knowledge. It is a direct question on our existence, and if you pursue this through a mode of inquiry, it would lead you to knowledge about that thing, about why you are present in this universe. What is your purpose? What is your objective? You will find all those answers coming out if you keep on pursuing that wonder. This is the power of perspective. So this is something I want to stress upon. This is the power of perspective. So if you change the perspective, you gain some power over the question. So that some question might be bothering you. If you are looking at in some direction, you're not able to find any answer, change the perspective. You might have an answer when you are looking from a different perspective. So this is the power of perspective, which changes the direction of approach to the knowledge. So we can inquire from every direction. We can inquire from every direction. So this is something that you can hang on to, this power of perspective. So in a new situation, whenever you are faced with a new challenge, you can change the perspective and see the challenge in a different way. So a very nice example may be that in some situation, while in your relationship with your parents or your friends, so you are hurt by some comments or some action or some behavior of the other person. So you are looking from the perspective of yourself, and that gives you the feeling of being hurt. You might try to change the perspective and see from the other person's point of view. So that person might not have had the intention to make you hurt. You might have done something which is their own nature. So if there is no intention to make you hurt, then why you are being hurt by that behavior? So you could then think about it that, well, let me forget about it. that person had no intention of making me hurt. That is their normal way of behaving. So but finally, ultimately, that person loves me or have cares for me. So there is no point on hanging on to that uh, to that mode of heart feelings. That would only like make your mood go down and make you unable to perform uh, in some other activity. So that is the power of perspective. You can use that in any situation in your life. So to do all these things, actually what we need to develop is the habit of asking questions. So from moving from wonder to wisdom, from changing our perspective. So everywhere at the back of everything, if you had noticed, we were asking questions. I stressed on this, the mode of inquiry means asking questions. So about asking questions, I found this very comic. So just to take some this make the situation a bit lighter, we can go through this comic and just see what this person Grant Snyder wants to say through his comics. So he has thought that this a rock is a question. So if the rock is a question, then there are these small rocks which are the small questions. So let me take the pointer out. So there is a small rocks which are small questions, and small questions will lead to small discoveries. So some snake, I think it's a small snake or something. And if there is a bigger question, so if you manage to find answer to the bigger question, it leads to a bigger discovery. So as you could very well see in the that this question, why we are here. So if it is a small question, it will lead to some small discovery, and if it is a big question, so you change the perspective and suddenly got very big, why we are here in this universe and all. So if you pursue it, it will lead to bigger discoveries. There are some questions like this which reveal deeper mysteries. So you thought that it is not very, it is a benign question. So but when you found an answer to it, that leads to more questions and more mysteries. So so this is like he had pushed aside this rock and found a staircase going down to the surface. So there is bigger mysteries around it. Sometimes even if there is you even if you know what question to ask, so this rock is something this person thinks a very he can handle it very well. So some question you are very confident about asking. However, you ask someone a question, you know that what that person will answer you. However, he answers something very different and it surprises you. This sort of thing had also happened to us. So the answer may surprise you, and it is a very different thing than what you had thought about. So you see how questions leads you to different experiences. Sometimes of course this also we have faced, that asking enormous questions also create enormous problems. So if you're always asking questions, sometimes it creates also problem in yeah, for you only. You can't move ahead because you are stuck in so many questions. So that is also the next part. You see, asking too many questions sometimes also makes you look ridiculous. So it is advised that you ask one question after another. You try to pursue one question, you go to the next, you find an answer, and then you pursue another question. So it is almost like stepping from one knowledge point to another, and then to another, and then to another. You don't want to go from the first point to the last one. That will make it an enormous question. and you will face enormous difficulties in crossing this, in finding that answer. And if you have all the if you have questions regarding all the steps at the same time, that would also make you ridiculous, make you look ridiculous, because you have to go from one step to another, go from one question to another. Then things will be simple. Those questions may have lead to small discovery or bigger discovery, or something that may surprise you. That is fine, but asking or handling all the questions at the same time will not do you any good. So asking questions is encouraged, but you also need to understand how to ask questions, and you have to go one question after another. And this is something I enjoyed looking at. So sometimes we come across an unusual question. So we see a rock there, but we don't really identify it. We don't know how to frame the question. Perhaps we are not understanding. So this is like that moment of wonder. So what exactly is there, we don't know. So when we face that thing, sometimes there is not much to do, because we don't really have the question also very well framed. So in that situation, we have to stay with that question, we have to stick with that question. So let that wonder be there. So always thinking about it, always being with it, and see where it takes you. So ultimately you found that it's not a rock, but the back of a tortoise, and a big tortoise as such. So you see where it takes you. It will lead you to somewhere. So even if you don't have an immediate answer, even if you don't have an immediate well-framed question and immediate answer, but stick with that wonder, and it will lead you to somewhere. That is what he is suggesting, and that is also what happens to all of us. Like that, if that big question of why we are here in this universe, what is our purpose. So people had stayed with that question. Many people have stayed with that question, and they have got some answers, and they have formed uh, systems of philosophical discourses around those things, around that question. So one has to stick with big questions sometimes, because there is no immediate answers. But eventually, by sticking to it, by looking at it from different perspectives, different angles, one gets an answer. So the same thing happens many times to a particular topic in a course. So this has happened to me a lot of times. So I don't understand a particular thing, I don't understand a particular um, theorem, perhaps a particular mathematical theory I don't understand. So I stick with it, I look at it again and again and again, and suddenly at some point of time it sparks from within me. So that spark comes, and when that spark comes, then that that information which was presented immediately becomes knowledge within me. So you can try this, it will happen. I can say it from my own experience. So staying with a question, staying with a question, sticking to a question, and giving it, so it is almost like giving it some time. So letting it know that I am with you, I have not abandoned you, and that question will also not abandon you. It will give you answers, it will just test you for some time, but finally it will give you answers. So we have to stay with the question. Suppose you are not understanding something in a course, in any course, perhaps in my course, in any other course, you are not understanding a particular topic. Stay with the topic, don't leave the topic. You always come back and look at that topic again, come back and look at the topic again, come back and look at the topic. So don't leave it. So if you leave it, it is gone forever. But if you come back, if you come back, one day or the other, there will be a spark from within you, and you will immediately understand what the topic is. And when you understand, you will really feel like, why I was not understanding this for so long. But it takes that time. That is how how everything works. That is how it works. It takes time. However, if you be with it, it will reveal its mysteries to you. It will reveal the answers. Okay, so let me see where we are heading to. And so since we have already crossed 1 hour, but since this is not like a lecture period, so I can extend this, and you can of course give a pause and go around and again come back to this. However, you can continue with me. So let's see. So this is what Socrates has told about teaching. So whatever we are talking about, all these things is something that I want you to develop within you. The attitude of questioning, the attitude of wonder, the bringing the spark from within you. So all these things you have to express inside you. This is some work that you need to do as student. What work does a teacher need to do from the teacher's side? So let us see what Socrates has told. And that Socrates has really made it easy for us, or what? What do you suppose? Socrates says that I cannot teach anybody anything. So all responsibility is finished, huh? So since I when I show this in the class, everybody starts laughing. So so this is the attitude that okay, everything is upon the student. The teacher doesn't need to do anything. I cannot teach anybody anything. So its first declaration is that. However, here the second declaration: I can only make them think. So when I started teaching, when I started in IIT Roorkee, I wanted to understand what is the role of a teacher. So I went back and tried to dig down something on what people had, the great people had already thought about teaching, and I had come across a lot of advices and philosophies. However, what I am presenting here is the gist of all of the, like, everyone has reiterated the same thing, and if something is basically the truth or the way it is, it will get revealed to everyone who puts some inquiry behind it. The same thing gets revealed. So all of the philosophers had found out the same thing. So I chose Socrates because he is the most ancient one whose written words are available to us like this. So he has said that I cannot teach anybody anything. I can only make them think. So the job of a teacher, the duty of a teacher, is not to present information, as what I was stressing. So the information is out there. Even if I am not teaching you the subject, there are books, there are video lectures, there are so many resources available. Those are resources, those are information. So you can take those information. So information is always available. The teacher does not need to present information. So it will only be an addition to that information. It will not make those information transform to knowledge, which is what the teacher must focus on. That is what Socrates has told when he gave this statement that I can only make them think. That thinking part is where the teacher must come in. So teacher must enable the students to think. Teacher must enable their brains to work. Thinking is basically the brains to work. They must evaluate, they must re-evaluate things. That is what thinking is. They must put things into perspective, the power of perspective that I just discussed with you. They must wonder. So these are the things that the teacher must inspire the students to develop in them. So it is not exactly putting information in front of a pupil, but developing the pupil from within. That is the purpose of a teacher. That is the noble purpose of a teacher. with which the teachers must look into the class. So I try to do this. I'm not sure how far I have succeeded in developing the attribute or the nature of inquiry and thinking personality within the students. However, I try to put across things which I think that would make someone go into the mode of inquiry and go into the mode of reflection, reflecting back on whatever on their own life or on other things in happening in the society, all those things. This makes us thinking individuals. So when we are thinking individuals, then we can immediately grasp an information and make a knowledge out of it. It is not just an information to us. We can transform that information to some knowledge. So this is my own remark now, as I have experienced teachers throughout my life. You are also experiencing teachers. You will experience more teachers in the coming days. So are most teachers doing something they aren't meant to do? So I'm not saying that they are not doing anything, but probably they are doing something which they are not meant to do. So most of the teachers I have found that they are only presenting the information. They are not meant to do that. That is what Socrates is saying. They are not meant to present informations. They are meant to do something better. So maybe we see teachers and we don't find the teachers very well suited to deliver in the class because they are only delivering information. They are not helping us to think, or not helping us to inquire, not helping us to get a new perspective, a new direction, a new approach to the knowledge. So perhaps that is the reason why most of the teachers we have come across have not been able to inspire us very well. So my thought is that most of the teachers may be doing something they aren't supposed to do, and when someone is doing something they aren't supposed to do, obviously there would be a conflict. So someone who is a suppose some cricketer is put into a football team, so he will not be playing very well. If he is also a footballer, then he would be playing very well. But if he is only a very good cricketer, but he is put into a football team because he is a very good cricketer, that won't serve the purpose. So something like that, this sort of a mismatch is what many of us face actually in our life. So we know that we are not supposed to do something, but still we are doing that. So it does not serve that particular purpose very well. It does not serve even us. So probably many of the teachers are doing this job because they just have a job. They want to just serve the job, but that teaching attitude is probably not very expressive in them. So they really don't pursue what they are meant to do, and there becomes the problem. So that was all about Socrates, but let us come to our own Indian great person, Swami Vivekananda. If you have not known of have not heard of him, then I don't know. I probably all of you have heard about Swami Vivekananda. May not have heard about Socrates. Depends on your schooling. But Swami Vivekananda, I am sure all of you have heard about, and what he is saying, and what this statement is not his statement. Basically, This is a statement coming out from the learnings and the teachings of the great philosophers of our ancient India. So the same thing he has also reiterated. So those philosophers date back to Socrates. They are more ancient than Socrates. So from the very beginnings of civilization, from the very beginnings of uh, a civilization where people lived in a proper manner, so that's when we call it a civilization. Otherwise, we don't call it a civilization. So from the very beginnings of a civilization, philosophers in those civilizations understood that no one can teach anyone. No one can teach anyone. The teacher spoils everything by thinking he or she can teach. So if one thinks that I can train him, I can I can teach that person, then immediately everything is spoiled, because all the knowledge that one gathers is self knowledge. Why? Because to transform information to knowledge, something within us must spark. That is what I was trying to say. Something within us is there which drives, which is the transformer, of information to knowledge. So it is always self knowledge. It is always self knowledge. One has to realize that knowledge inside him. So information is available everywhere. That spark, that transformer must come from within you, and to take the information and transform into knowledge. So all knowledge is self knowledge. All knowledge is self knowledge. So the teacher cannot make one knowledgeable. What the teacher can do then? The role of a teacher is to point the student inwards, and that is where it ends. So that is what I was doing all through this lecture. I was trying to point you inwards, towards your own faculty, towards your own attribute of that wisdom, of wonder, of inquiry, of creating that spark within you. Have an attitude of wonder, have an attitude of questioning, have an attitude of interest towards something. Only then, only that. So I was trying to point you inwards towards that transformer of information, which will transform the information to knowledge. So that is the role of the teacher, and that is one has to point the student inwards, and that is where it ends. One has to point the student inwards, one has to let the student know of their capability, of that they have that capacity to gain knowledge. So one has to because our attention is diverted so much in the outside world, we don't really go inwards and see ourselves and notice our own capacities and our talents and our faculties. We don't realize that. So that is what the teacher is supposed to do. No one else will do that, because only the teacher knows how one becomes knowledgeable, and that is not by presenting information in front of a student or in front of a person. One has to have that inner mode of inquiry, of that inner attitude of inquiry, of digging down, of wonder, of questioning. So that is the spark which is the rekindling of a flame. So that flame burns or purges that information and takes out the pure knowledge and makes and puts it in one's own system. So that's how knowledge transcends from information. So this is what Swami Vivekananda said. So with this I will end the lecture for today, and we will look back from this statement in the next lecture. And what the statement is that we should go inwards. The role of the teacher is to point the student inwards, and that is where it ends. So let's see if my role ends so quickly or not. And because I have already pointed the student inwards, but there is a lot of other things that one has to do, and we will go through all these things step by step, one by one, and we will go through this journey together. So let's see how it goes on, and we'll take it up from this point in the next lecture.